Hi, this is Jess, aka Sketchwriterjess. My channel is now back to being Jessica Hensley. I had some issues with my account, and I needed to put my original name back on there. So if anybody has been trying to find me, I thought I would do this Authortube Newbie Tag video. Um, I started out as Jessica Hensley and then was Jess Hensley Sketchwriterjess, which I liked because then people could find me because my blog is Sketchwriterjess, but it just wasn't working right. So what I ended up doing was I have Jessica Hensley as my author channel, and then Sketchwriterjess is my channel for like craft tutorials and that kind of thing. So let's get started. This is the Authortube Newbie Tag. I'm going to answer the questions. How did you find out about Authortube? Well, Sarah Sharon Weber came to my page and she gave me a comment on one of my videos, and I watched some of her videos and I like them, so I thought this is cool. So that's how I found out about Authortube. What genres do you write in? Well, a lot of different things. Some of my stuff is kind of like self-help. Right now I'm getting very into the spiritual stuff. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you've watched any of my other videos, I've talked about having bipolar 1, which is a mental illness, and then also having psychic abilities. I haven't had a drink for a month, and my intuition has increased a lot. So I've been getting good feedback on my videos, so I know that I'm heading in the right direction. Right now, what I'm really focusing on is tarot card readings, and what I do is I write up the articles on my blog and I put like different piles. You choose a pile and it takes you directly to the pile that you choose. And I'm thinking sometime I'm going to write some for my shop, because it'll be kind of like those quizzes that you see in magazines where like you're trying not to read all the answers and you're trying not to choose the one that you like, but like you're trying to hide it from yourself, but you're not honest. So this way, when you do your quiz, like you could read everything and think everything is about you, or you can pick the one and hear the truth you want to hear, and circle the numbers and get the score right and everything. So that's actually what I'm focusing on now. Also, I have a novel. It's like a romance novel I'm writing, but it has to do with the twin flame journey. And the twin flame journey is a spiritual, like a new age spiritual concept. So I have a romance that revolves around two people that meet in their twin flames, and like how their relationship unfolds. And I got about 8,000 words on it, but I had to give it up for a while because I was really getting into the spiritual work that I'm doing. So they kind of go hand in hand, I think. What is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? Well, I like third person singular. I think that's called, you do the viewpoint from the person you're telling the story about. What I like about the third person is that you still have a little bit of that feeling like you got a bird's eye view into what's going on, but it's also specific to that person, and I think that's really great, especially since I do tarot card reading. That's exactly what the audience is for tarot card reading, is third person singular. So it kind of makes sense that that's what I would choose. That's what I like to write in. It's not to say that when I read things, I read things with all different points of view. like, first person, third person. One time I read something, it had a second person. I'm not kidding. It was like, we did this and we did that, and it was weird. And I only read half of it because it was too weird. So, but, everybody's got their own way of writing. So, um, are you a plotter, pantser, or plantser? Well, my novel, I tried to make it like um, a pan. I did it by pantsing, and I enjoy the process of pantsing. However, I always kind of have this urge to write a little bit, scribble a little bit in my notebook as I'm going along and trying to find things ahead of time. So I guess in that sense, I guess I'm a plantser. And but I really consider myself more of a pantser now than I used to. I used to try to do the plotting, and I always felt very constricted by that. So now I like the idea of kind of like going ahead a little bit and then leaving like a gap in between and then filling the gap and just like do a little bit ahead and fill in the gap. That's what I did on my novel, and that's how I got to 8,000 words. And it's a beautiful process because it allows you to kind of have some of the things already set up, but it's like you're you're kind of able to see ahead, but you still have enough mystery there that it makes it interesting for you when you're writing. And that I think that's what I like about pantsing is like you don't know what the story's gonna be, and so that's why I do that. Are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? I'm self-published. I have a few things out that I've self-published. I had I had some patterns on Ravelry which I took down because they're knitting and they're crocheting patterns. I had to take them down because I needed to find new yarn to do the new samples in and write in the new yarn, and I couldn't find the yarn that I wanted, so I'm still like trying to figure out the best way to save that pattern. Um, then I have two books that I published on my own. They're digital books, and they're only on Etsy or my website. You can go purchase them on my website through PayPal. But they're digital books about journaling, and they're about my mental illness, like how I was able to track my moods and find out what was wrong with me, because I could tell my psychiatrist what I needed, what the things that were bothering me and the things that I felt were fine. I'm finally tweaked the medication, and I'm on on a regimen that I believe has been very good. Um, I have to say, like, having the intuitive abilities is very overwhelming because I keep going, oh, well, yeah, maybe there's something going on, but I know there isn't. Um, it's just normal for me. It's probably always been normal for me, but I kind of tried to push it away um, because I was afraid that, like, if anybody found out that I had, like, psychic abilities, they wouldn't want to talk to me. And I feel even more outside than I already did. But since I've come out about it, I feel a lot more like I don't know. I just feel better about myself. I feel like my heart's opened up. So so that's something. Uh, so yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go the traditional publishing route. I probably will not for the novel. I think that would make sense. But actually, what I really like to do is have a publishing company that published inspirational new age fiction and inspirational new age books in general, anything that has to do with new age. But I'd love to own a publishing company, start one. I don't know whether there's anybody in Authortube who writes new age. I haven't really seen anybody, but I haven't really looked it up either, so I don't know. But I think like there are times when I want to read a book and I think, I wish I had something new agey that was fiction. And I haven't seen anything like that in the new age community. So like if I could start a genre, that would be a lot of fun to be able to have that. Because I love reading regular new age books, but sometimes it gets a little dry. Sometimes you just need a little something that kind of takes you away into another world. And it's, I mean, that's just what I'm thinking. But so I write in all different things, and but my journal books, the ones how to journal now, and how to like yourself now, those are always going to be digital, because you print them out and you have worksheets, and you write on the worksheets, and it's like a workshop, and so it's helpful to people. I know some people have actually used it and taught classes with one of them, so I know um, people do like it, and that makes me feel good, because like I've been through so much, and I felt like being able to share that information. I mean, it's good to take all the bad stuff I went through and be able to make something good that can help people. So so I didn't want to hide it. I didn't want to wait to publish those. Whereas like a novel, to me, I feel more like, I have to get an editor, and I need to have other people read it and really get into letting people handle it. I think more than like the things that I do have to do with self-publishing, like my tarot card readings or those kinds of things. Those are a little more intuitive, and so I don't really have to have anybody read it unless they want to. Um, that's just how I feel about it. What publishing company, literary agent, or printing company are you? I'm me. I right now, because I'm just self-published. Um, yeah, my dream publishing house. Well, if I was going to be published by somebody, um, I think, trying to think of like an author that I write like, and there's really nothing out there that's like me, so I don't know. um, I think I like Bantam books. I have a lot of Bantam books. I don't know if they're still in business, but I have all these books by Bantam, published by Bantam, and they're called Love Swept, and the books have been really fun to read, and they're romances. They're just regular romances, but I enjoy reading those. So, and I've read other books by Bantam as well, like mysteries and stuff like that. So, I would say, like, I don't know if my work fits in there, but I like that publishing house, so I'm mentioning it. um, what Authortube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? Well, I would say one I want to do is about using tarot cards to write a story. The novel that I wrote, or that I'm writing, I actually chose one of my tarot spreads and the tarot reading that came from it as the basis for the story. So I thought at some point, I'm not sure when, maybe sometime in the fall, maybe like a month before NaNoWriMo or something, so people have a whole month to plan it out. I have this idea of like having your basic spread, and then you like kind of have all these other cards, and you clarify some of the other cards in there, and it makes for an even more well-rounded story. So, yeah, I think I like that idea. That's probably the most writer-relating one. Also, I do a lot of spirituality stuff, so a lot of my videos will be about spirituality and like the things that I work on, the projects that I work on. You can actually have a tarot card deck. I'll talk more about that on my talk Thursday. But that's something I'm working on too. That's writing as well. So, that's something that I want to do. So it'll be talking a lot about my projects, I think, and hopefully it'll inspire you to do whatever you want to do. Just give you some new perspectives on things. I'm trying not to proselytize or anything like that. I figure, you take what you want and you leave the rest behind. So, if it's definitely writer related, I'll put a tag on there that says that. So if you're not into the spiritual stuff, you just want to learn about the writing, then you can just watch that and you can do it. When did you start writing? Oh, well, let's see. I think I was like 10 when I wrote my first real story. I had fallen for a guy. He was like 2 years older than me. I wrote about him. It was just like a little story. It was a nice story. He was having his bar mitzvah, and I talked about how he was going to be a man or something like that. And like how he really was going to be a man. He was going to be my man, pretty much. It was a nice little story. Needless to say, that didn't work, but uh, uh, but like when I really first started writing seriously, I was in high school. I was 16, and I had a wonderful writing teacher named Dr. Ferranda, and I lived in Northern Virginia, so we were right in the hub of where a lot of authors, full-time authors live. Um, so I mean, we got to see some authors at the time that were up and coming, which are now kind of big-time guys, and I'm so thankful to have had that experience. But not only that, we got to see authors from backgrounds that we would have never seen anywhere else because she just knew all these interesting people. And whether they were big time guys or not, and it was just so cool. It was such a neat experience to have that. Um, so, what was the first story you ever wrote? Oh, well, I really the first one I can remember is that one I wrote when I was 10. I'm sure I wrote some when I was really little, but I don't remember it. So, probably the one when I was 10. That's probably the one. Um, what authors have inspired your writing the most? Well, I would say there's this writer named Sarah Addison Allen. I really like her writing. Um, she just has a beautiful way of incorporating, like, that kind of, I forget what they call it, like magical realism, I think they call it. And it's like, it's supposed to be like real life, but there are these magical elements that she puts in there, and I love that. So that's one author. Say, the Love Swept books, anybody from there, like the actual books, the writers that wrote those books, I like that style by them. So that I would say anybody in that kind of genre. Um, and that's really all you can really think about now. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? I have attempted to try to schedule my writing sessions, and it never works because I always find something else to do, so I just do it when I can. I do have time to do it. I don't have a regular job. I'm on disability, so for my mental illness, I'm on disability for that. So I have lots of time, but there's just a lot of things that come up that make it a little difficult. And it's not even the mental illness, I think, that does it. It's just a lot of emotional, psychological stuff that's not really bipolar related. It's more just what people experience, when they're authors, like kind of like nervous that, is your work going to be any good? It's like my inner critic starts talking, and then it's like, oh, no one's going to like this. They're going to think it's stupid. And So it's that kind of stuff that kind of like keeps me from writing sometimes. But I try to write a little something every day, um, whether it's on a story I'm working on or most likely something from my tarot cards. Like those things are more scheduled. Like, I say I'm gonna make a video on this day. Now, of course, it'll be like at 1 a.m. the next day, like in the morning, but it's still like I started it that day and then it got posted. Um, with the tarot card readings, what I do is I write in my notebook, and I write the reading. I write like there's a spread that I use, and then like I have different parts of the spread, and I write like what the meanings are of the cards and that kind of thing. So in that sense, those are scheduled, I would say. But that writing is very different than like my story writing. The story writing, I tend to start my inner critters. Inner critter. That's good to call the inner critic the inner critter. It's an inner guy. Oh boy. Uh, it's late here in Florida. This is what I felt like doing. No. But anyways, it's like that's when I start getting those thoughts of, oh, nobody's gonna like this, everybody's gonna think it's stupid, and it stops me from really getting in there. And then then I'll like sit and do it sometimes, and I go, why did I put this off? This is so much fun, like it's just it's kind of a battle, you know. Um, so I think it's just like an author battle. You know what I mean? It's like the standard author battle stuff. My light's flickering. I guess that means spirit likes what I'm talking about. It's been flickering like forever. Like it just goes off and on. But it seems to happen when I'm talking about certain things. Well, this is definitely when I'm writing, I guess. My ancestors are like, here you go. We're proud of you. Do you type on a computer, typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? And where do you write in general? Well, for the tarot readings, I write those by hand. And I write them in my notebook here. I have one here. This is one notebook. It has my romantic readings in there. This one has my romantic pick a card readings. I also have my actual novel is typewritten on the computer. I've tried handwriting my novel before, and I found that it was just too hard to keep up with. It was hard to keep up with typing it at the end of the day. It was like I spent so much time in the writing and then like having to type it up again, and like by the time I got to the point where I was really getting somewhere, I realized I didn't type it up, and like I had so much to type up, I just stopped writing the novel because I was like, oh no, I have to type all this up, oh no. And so I just stopped on that one. That was from last year. That was NaNoWriMo from last year. And that book was really more of a literary novel type of thing, so I probably won't be writing that one. I really want to get into the new age writing that I'm doing, and having that new age fiction would be kind of fun. What are you most looking forward to? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't answer where I wrote. I write here usually. I write in this chair, right where you see me when I'm doing my tarot card readings. I also type on my computer in this chair. So I have like this little office set up in my bedroom. Very small, but it's great because it's quiet and I can just concentrate on what I'm doing. And, I don't put any music on when I write. I like to have pure silence. So that's how I go with that. Here's the last question. What are you most looking forward to now that you're part of Authortube? Well, I think what I'm looking forward to is connecting with other people who write, um, not just about the process, but maybe even like just the motivation, like maybe help keep each other motivated. Maybe there's different things we can talk about on our videos, like motivational videos, like I don't know, like I see a lot of videos on like the process of writing. I see videos on like how to plot something, how to pants something, how to make an outline, but I don't feel like I see that many motivational videos. Um, and like that's something, I mean, maybe I just haven't been around it long enough. Like I've seen AuthorTube before Sarah introduced me to it, but I hadn't really looked at it in depth until now. So, um, I had seen a few things, when NaNoWriMo comes out, the people are doing that, and you see videos on that. But, I don't know, something motivational. Also, like I thought maybe, I don't know, maybe I can meet people who are into writing new agey stuff. I mean, that'd be cool too. But what everybody writes, everybody writes. I mean, I'm interested in seeing what people have. Um, I tend to read more like romance type stuff, and I've tried reading horror, but it's like I don't know. I guess I just haven't read the right one yet. Sometimes I get into it, and then it's like it'll hit a point, and it's not has nothing to do with goriness or anything, but it's almost like sometimes I feel like maybe the horror didn't back up what was happening in the story, and I forget, it was a Stephen King book or something. And like, I mean, I've seen like the movies he's written and stuff. I mean, the movies based on his books, and I've liked a lot of those movies, but I had read one book by him and it just wasn't matching up for me right. I spent so long reading it and I couldn't get through it. So I've tried reading his horror books and I haven't really been able to get through them, but I did read Eyes of the Dragon by him when I was in high school, and that was a really neat book. It had like a dark fantasy feel to it. So I mean, if people are writing things in horror and dark fantasy, I might try reading them. It might be fun to just see something different. Because I tend to stay in my little romance suspense universe, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm pretty much open to most things. Um, so that's what I'm looking forward to. Um, I'm on Instagram as Sketchwriterjess, and my blog is sketchwriterjess.com. I sell 2 of my books on there, the digital books. They're on there. You can either buy them through PayPal, or you can go to my Etsy shop and you can buy them. One of them is How to Like Yourself Now, and the other one is How to Journal Now. So, I don't know if you're supposed to do that in Newbie Tag, but I don't know. The whole point of like having a channel, I think, is to promote yourself. So I thought I would do that as well. So I will see you guys when I post next. Bye.